Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program will begin in 5 minutes. Again, please take your seats. The program will begin in 5 minutes. Gentlemen, please take your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program is beginning.
Roger that. We are good to go.
They said it couldn't be done. Couldn't be mapped. Couldn't be built. Couldn't be torn down. But one thing always proved them wrong. Time. Our time began 20 years ago with an empty lot and a dream full of promise, determination, and audacity. A dream to do the impossible, achieve the unachievable, and defeat the undefeatable. 20 years is not a long time. But as John Huntsman says,
cancer moves fast, and we have to move faster.
So buildings went up, fundraising went up, and hopes went up. Groundbreaking after groundbreaking after groundbreaking led our researchers to the groundbreaking discovery of more genes for inherited cancers than any other institution on Earth. It led them to a Nobel Prize and to the designation of Huntsman Cancer Institute as a comprehensive cancer center, the most prestigious recognition of the National Cancer Institute. 20 years is not a long time, but the strides we've made, the obstacles we've shattered, and the lives we've touched have made the most of every second of it. The world has taken notice, and they have come. From every state in America and every continent on Earth. To work here, do research here, and find hope here. Huntsman Cancer Institute has ignition, fueled by the fury and fervor of everyone whose life has ever been touched by cancer. No, 20 years is not a long time. But then that's our strength, isn't it? Being young, with all the passion, boldness, and optimism of youth. That nothing is too hard, nothing is too far, and nothing that is impossible can't be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, associates, people who care deeply about eradicating cancer from the face of the earth, let me provide this very, very warm welcome to the dedication ceremony of the Primary Children's and Families Cancer Research Center at Huntsman Cancer Institute, one of the largest children's cancer centers now in the country. It's a great honor. Thank you. Thank you. It's a great honor as part of the Huntsman clan and formerly involved in the Huntsman Cancer Foundation to be here today. It may seem a bit ironic that a diplomat would be called in to kick off this event, but our good University of Utah President Dave Pershing and Mary Beckerly, the unbelievably capable leader of the Huntsman Cancer Institute, thought that it would be good training for Russia, and I'll take their word for it. Right off the top, I want to offer special thanks to those from the Huntsman Cancer Foundation, Susan Sheehan and her most capable and excellent team, representatives from the state of Utah, Governor Gary Herbert is here, Senate President Niederhauser is here, Speaker Greg Hughes is here. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So many wonderful representatives from the Quorum of the 12. President Uchtdorf is with us. Wie geht's, meine Freund? Representatives from Intermountain Healthcare, Scott Anderson, the very able chair of that board, is with us as well. Just a couple of comments before we officially kick off this wonderful, wonderful gathering. In 1995, it really began, all of this that we see in this neighborhood, with an empty lot and big dreams, and motivated by a family's personal encounters with cancer. Before the first hole was dug, my mom and dad, who were seated up here, had this vision of a cancer campus. Now, 22 years ago, no one would have wagered much that this would ever come to fruition on this once empty hillside. Then in 1999, the Huntsman Cancer Institute Patient Care Center opened, and I'm sure many figured the HCI journey would simply stop there. But my dad has this unique ability to see around the bend. He's always referred to the phases of the Cancer Institute. And I'm sure all of the experts in those early meetings, and I remember them well 22 years ago, thought he was absolutely crazy. And then Mom would back him up with equally crazy ideas on building designs, like a pointed building with a world-class restaurant on top, on a street named Hope. Then came the Cancer Hospital in 2004, then the 156,000 square foot expansion in 2011, and today this magnificent facility, ladies and gentlemen, 1 million square feet worth of pure hope, 2,100 excellent jobs supported by the efforts here, $752 million in business activity that I know the governor, the speaker, and the president are deeply interested in, and 1 mile long worth of research lab bench capacity. No, my folks aren't crazy. They're just driven crazy by those who don't get the bigger picture of a world without cancer. When we opened the Patient Care Center in 1999, I joked that I hoped that I had inherited my mom's prostate. This time, no joke, I hope I inherited my dad's heart. You see, he turns 80 today with a... He turns 80 today with a heart that just keeps giving, with an unconditional and singular desire to build the finest cancer center in the world. And amazingly, he's about there. No one doubts him anymore. He remains at his core an entrepreneur, a riverboat gambler, and he does what entrepreneurs do. He dreams and he builds. And then he finishes whatever that was, and he does it all over again. And by reaching 80, I just have to tell many of you here who have been friends for a long time and may not know this fact, by reaching 80 years old, he's also broken a family record. You see, no Huntsman male in recent history has lived to be 80 years old. So it's a special day for all of us. And I'm sure the Huntsman Saloon in Fillmore did not contribute to family longevity back in the old days. Let me just end with this thought. In 1774, Abigail Adams wrote a most poignant letter to her husband, who was then in Philadelphia. She said, "We have too many high-sounding words and too few actions that accompany or correspond with them." Ladies and gentlemen, we are standing on Action Hill, something previously just a dirt hill with rattlesnakes and trails. So today is a day of deep gratitude for so many here who have been part of this journey from the beginning, but is also a day to celebrate action. Because those who suffer from this dread disease, they know that high-minded words won't cure cancer or relieve the pain and anguish and suffering that goes along with it. So this is action in real life and in real time. And congratulations to all of those who are part of it. President Uchtdorf, a member of the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, will offer our invocation. But may I say first, what an honor it is having so many members of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir who are with us today under the able guidance of Mac Wilberg. Bishop Solis of the Salt Lake Catholic Diocese, newly arrived, we already feel of your spirit, and we are deeply honored by your presence and your willingness to participate. President Uchtdorf.
Happy birthday, John. What a wonderful birthday gift to all of us. So thank you again. I've been asked to offer the invocation and a dedicatory prayer. Dear friends, please join me now with your heart and with your mind. Our Father, which art in heaven, we're gathered here today to celebrate the completion of the Primary Children's and Families Cancer Research Center at Huntsman Cancer Institute and to express our sincere gratitude to Thee and to those whom Thou hast inspired to create it in concept and in reality. We recognize the great need for quality research to find solutions to successfully help children and families overcome cancer and its long-term effects on their lives. While the Son of God walked the earth, He brought healing in His wings and miraculously lifted the burden of those He touched. We do not know why the Creator has permitted the burden of cancer to enter the lives of our children, the most pure and innocent of God's creation. But we all unite and trust in Thee, our Heavenly Father, while searching and hoping for ways to reduce and alleviate the suffering of these precious children and their families. As we now dedicate and consecrate this magnificent facility of the Primary Children's and Families Cancer Research Center at the Huntsman Cancer Institute on the University of Utah campus, we again express profound gratitude for the vision and selfless work of all who have given so generously to make this dream come true. We recognize specifically and ask on this special day a special measure of blessing for John and Karen Huntsman, who have been instrumental in initiating and moving this work forward. Their example and encouragement have caused many of us to join this great cause by supporting it financially or in other ways. The people of Utah, who own these great facilities, are a shining example to our nation of how to better serve and give hope to those affected by cancer. We dedicate this facility to the healing and overcoming of this frightening disease. We ask for Thy blessings and guidance that in this great state of Utah, on this university campus, and within the walls of the Huntsman Cancer Institute, hope and faith for healing will always be strengthened. We pray that kindness and loving care will prevail and overcome the fear and deep anxiety caused by the uncertainties of cancer. We pray for Thy guidance and the highest level of professional competence in finding new and advanced answers for the treatment and curing of these young patients and their family. May this magnificent Primary Children's and Families Cancer Research Center be a place of healing, of comfort, of dignity, of kindness, of caring for both the patient and their loved ones. May it be a place free of fear, free of bullying, free of political power play, a place free of unkind words or deeds. May it be an example of goodness, tolerance, generosity, strength, kindness, divine purpose, and love for fellow men. May it always be an attractive home for the most generous and able doctors, nurses, and aides, all working together to bring to pass the miracle of hope and the perfection of the healer's art. May a spirit of working together to bless the patients ever outshine selfish interest of any kind. May all who serve in this research center find great joy in their service. May the heartfelt gratitude of thankful patients and families become the most satisfying element of their compensation. O God, our Heavenly Father, help us to believe and trust in Thee that the time will come when the scourge of cancer be eliminated. May heaven smile upon this research center through all the years to come. To this end, we dedicate the Primary Children's and Families Cancer Research Center with gratitude and a prayer that God will bless this institution and all who serve and are served herein. We humbly pray in the sacred name of the Creator of us all, the great healer, even the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Mary Beckerly. I'm the CEO and Director of Huntsman Cancer Institute, and I'm thrilled to have all of you here for this incredibly memorable and important occasion. I want to thank the Mormon Tabernacle Choir for that beautiful piece, and I want to ask you to please all apply your sunscreen if you haven't already done so. Cancer touches everyone, 1 in 2 men, 1 in 3 women. In the United States alone, we lose 1 person every minute of every day to this disease. Our goal at Huntsman Cancer Institute is to eradicate this disease from the face of the earth. We are inspired in this mission by our patients and their families. We're inspired by Sherry Holman, one of our brilliant cancer researchers who's also a cancer survivor. Sherry lost her mother to breast cancer, and Sherry knows that her family has an inherited form of breast cancer risk that was discovered right here in Utah. Sherry's story inspires us each and every day to find better ways to prevent cancer, to assess cancer risk, and to screen for cancer so we can detect it early. We are inspired by Michael Taylor. Cancer treatment is not what Michael had in mind when he graduated from high school. Last summer, Michael was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, the second most common type of bone cancer in children. He was treated at Primary Children's Hospital and also received 30 days of radiation therapy at Huntsman Cancer Institute as part of his treatment plan. Now 18, Michael is looking toward the future, and we are looking toward the future with him. Our HCI researchers are actually focused on eradicating Ewing sarcoma. We've discovered a key pathway that drives the growth of Ewing sarcoma in our labs, and we've engineered a promising new therapy that's being tested in clinical trials this year. Michael inspires us to redouble our efforts to treat cancers that affect young people. We're so grateful that you're here with us today, Michael. Thanks to cancer research, the cancer death rate has declined by 1% each year for more than 2 decades. That is more than 2 million lives saved. 50 years ago, parents of children with cancer had no hope. They were told to go home and enjoy their last days with their children. Today, 80% of children diagnosed with cancer can expect to survive their disease. Research truly saves lives. And today, we celebrate major advances in cancer research, and we look toward an even brighter future. Thanks to this magnificent new facility, we will double the size of our cancer research program at Huntsman Cancer Institute. We will establish a world-class technology center to provide our researchers with the most innovative tools available in the fight against cancer. This includes a new $1 million machine that allows us to sequence the human genome in less than 1 day for less than $100. When the first human genome was sequenced, it cost more than $1 billion and took more than 1 year, just to give you an idea how fast this technology is progressing. This is going to lead to accelerating our understanding of cancer and advances in precision medicine. It's like now we can purchase a $100,000 Porsche 911 for just 1 penny. I'm sorry to tell my husband that that doesn't apply in the car case. We will build on pioneering work at Huntsman Cancer Institute to defeat childhood cancers like leukemia, bone cancers, and brain cancers with new targeted therapies. We will develop new precision prevention strategies to stop cancers that have ravaged families for generations. We will expand our clinical trials, bringing the most promising new treatment options to the people of our state as well as our region. And we will eliminate cancer health disparities in the state of Utah, working with our partners to ensure that cancer prevention strategies are available to everyone, regardless of race, socioeconomic status, or whether the person lives near a major medical center or in a rural area, and so much more. We are going to bring the discoveries made in this beautiful new facility across the sky bridges to our outpatient clinics and to our cancer hospital and to patients around our state, around our nation, and around the world. When you tour this beautiful new facility, you will feel the hope that we feel. you will see the many spaces designed to bring people together, to collaborate, to tackle this major, major challenge. Working together is part of the spirit of Utah, part of our pioneering heritage. Partnerships are also key to both the present and the future of Huntsman Cancer Institute. Huntsman Cancer Institute was built on the culture of innovation and excellence that had a strong heritage here at the University of Utah. We've partnered with the Huntsman Cancer Foundation, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the state of Utah to establish the Utah Population Database as a world-class resource for genetic research, a resource that has enabled the discovery of more inherited cancer genes here in Utah than anywhere else on Earth. We have forged an alliance with Intermountain Healthcare to raise the standard of care for cancer patients across our state through sharing of data, through jointly sponsored cancer education centers, and through new programs like the Huntsman Intermountain Adolescent and Young Adult Cancer Care Program, which is designed to help young cancer patients navigate a very complex set of decisions. And of course, we've partnered with John and Karen Huntsman and their family. To John, let me make a special thank you. Thanks to you for your vision, your determination, and your passion. We are standing beside an absolutely magnificent cancer campus with this new facility that amounts to 1 million square feet of space dedicated to healing and hope. A world-class team of clinicians, scientists, students, faculty, staff, dedicated to eradicating cancer. Without you, this would still be a barren hillside. So thank you so much, and to commemorate your unparalleled generosity, we have for you, and your passionate leadership, which was so important from the very beginning, we want to present you with this desk-size reminder of what you have built here, what we have built together, a truly remarkable legacy and a gift to everyone in the state of Utah. I don't know how many layers of, there we go. So you'll get to see. Look at this. So in closing, I want to thank Architectural Nexus and Jacobson Construction, who designed and built this magnificent new cancer research facility, all of our amazing donors, and all the members of my team at Huntsman Cancer Institute who have worked tirelessly for the last 4 years to bring this dream from an idea to paper and now to reality. Cancer moves fast, and I am here to tell you that we promise we will move faster. So thank you all very much. It's now my great honor to turn the podium over to University of Utah President David Pershing, who will be followed by Governor Gary Herbert, President Wayne Niederhauser, and Speaker Greg Hughes. I am so grateful on behalf of everyone at Huntsman Cancer Institute, all of our patients and their families, to each of these individuals who are dear friends of Huntsman Cancer Institute and who have helped us advance our mission in so many ways. After those remarks, we'll have a musical selection by the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Thank you, Mary. On behalf of the University of Utah, it is a distinct honor and a great privilege to be here today with all the members of the Huntsman family, our state executive and legislative leaders, religious leaders, and so many of you out there, our community supporters who share the commitment to eradicate cancer. As John said, when I joined the faculty, actually now almost 40 years ago, this hillside was just that. It was completely empty. Now, Some 3 decades later, this extraordinary facility has sprung out of the hillside and is changing the lives of millions of people. The Huntsman Cancer Institute is one of the most important crown jewels of the University of Utah. When Brigham Young founded the university in 1850, the goal was to educate, change, and better individual lives for the benefit of the community through collaboration and innovation. The Huntsman Cancer Center, the Huntsman Cancer Institute, has certainly worked diligently to do that, to improve the human condition, to serve the community, and to not just change lives, but to save lives, as Mary just described. Here you will find world-class, dedicated researchers and caregivers. They are passionate about their work, and they are constantly seeking new and innovative ways to improve care and to treat cancer earlier and better. As the Huntsman Cancer Institute's reputation has grown around the world, one thing has always stayed true. The patient comes first, and that parallels perfectly our main campus value that students are job one. Despite its immense growth, the vision of HCI to improve the lives of people in Utah and the neighboring states who are impacted by cancer has never wavered. The Huntsman Cancer Institute is a place that holds great distinction at our university. It excels in research, and it also receives exceptional reviews by its patients. Those attributes take on a profound meaning when your own family is hit by cancer. And I am exceedingly grateful to the care HCI has given my own family members. Cancer is a diagnosis, but the emotional impact of the word defies description, and it impacts every member of the family. I can personally assure you that the caregivers, staff, faculty, donors, and students are passionate about their important mission and compassionate about the trials that are faced by our patients for whom they are caring. What I've described today, the lives changed, the people cared for, and the mission-driven culture is a story of an exceptional organization. But it's really a story of an exceptional vision that began 22 short years ago, a vision that guided this institution to heights that most places never even dreamed to reach. And that vision came from Karen and John, and we are so thankful for that. Thank you for your support, your passion, your tireless resolve to eradicate this awful disease. And thank you also for choosing the University of Utah as the place to entrust with this tremendous responsibility. Today, we are celebrating a new beginning for the Huntsman Cancer Institute, but we are also reaffirming our commitment to the foundation that got us to this incredible point of impact and discovery. It is one on which we hope to build even a brighter future here at the University of Utah. Thank you all so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as governor of this great state, I'm very honored to be here with you today as we celebrate John Sr.'s 80th birthday, and more importantly, I know to him to celebrate the opening dedication of the Primary Children and Families Cancer Research Center at Huntsman Cancer Institute. This is a significantly important occasion for all of us, as we can see and attested by those who are here today. People in the community who have got an interest in this cause, which we are here to work together to see if we cannot, in fact, eradicate cancer. As been mentioned by Dr. Beckerly, all of us, I'm sure, have been touched in some way or another with our family members, our friends and associates by cancer in some form or another. I was just sitting here on the stage remembering of my own father, who died of bone cancer, was treated here at Huntsman Cancer and passed away about 7 years ago. the wonderful comment and nice note he received from John Huntsman Sr. and giving him hope and encouragement about his future. And as we think back as a family, as Dr. Persian has talked about, we remember those kindnesses, the attitude, how they were treated. My father was treated here by the clinicians, by the researchers, by the doctors and nurses. And appreciate that experience in spite of the outcome that with my father's passing. It is a difficult situation for us. It's the second leading cause of death in America and in Utah, second only to heart disease. We've lost about 3,000 Utahns last year in 2016. And about 13,000 died from cancer here in just the Intermountain West. So the impact we have is dramatic. And yet this institution here has been giving us hope and helping us to find better ways to treat it, to extend life, and hopefully on the pathway to eradication. And with this new research facility that we celebrate today, the focus is going to be even more so on giving children's cancer and cancer that run in families hope and optimism about what can happen into the future. Speaking of hope, again, I don't know of two more people who exemplify hope more than John and Karen Huntsman. What they've done, again, we've heard about the barren hillside that we'd have here. If it wasn't for them. It's not only hope, it's also a vision. And I think John and Karen have had a vision where many in the rest of the world wear bifocals. They've had the boldness, as in our program, it talks about the ability to dream a dream which most people, 25 or 30 years ago thought was impossible. And yet now we see within our grasp an opportunity here, in fact, to eradicate cancer and make lives better. So I appreciate not only the vision that John Huntsman has had and his family, which have shared the vision and have given their all, but I appreciate the leadership that has been demonstrated here to take what a lot of naysayers would say is the impossible dream and say, no, it is a possible dream. And let us unite and work together and see if we can accomplish the impossible. Dare to dream the dream of eradication of cancer. So on behalf of the 3.1 million people, John, I'm here not only to wish you happy birthday, but congratulations for your vision and for your leadership in bringing us together to unite us in a cause that mankind will forever be grateful for. And on behalf of that, as governors do, I have the opportunity, in recognition of this effort, to make a declaration. I followed my good leadership from John Huntsman Jr. We talked about the glory days when he was our 16th governor. And so we declare declarations for these kind of occasions. Let me just read it to you. Whereas a cancer diagnosis not only impacts the health of one's body, but the composition of our community. Whereas we as a community are obligated and obliged to unify in the face of this great tribulation and challenge one of the world's most formidable maladies. Whereas cancer afflicts fathers, daughters, mothers, and sons, and does not care whether you are the doctor or the patient. Whereas cancer is the lead disease killer of children, and 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will receive a cancer diagnosis in their lifetime. Whereas each year cancer claims the lives of more than 7 million individuals worldwide, with more than half of those individuals considered premature deaths younger than 69 years of age. Whereas medical advancements have made significant strides to curb cancer's mortality rate, bringing us closer to entering the war on cancer. Whereas medical professionals, institutions, patients, and families are to be commended for their immeasurable courage, devotion, and achievements. Whereas we applaud the Huntsman Cancer Institute and the John M. Huntsman family for offering Utahns new, more effective cancer treatment and for providing a remarkable selfless service to our community. And whereas Utahns should contribute to this cause and be resolute in their belief that cancer indeed can be defeated. Now, therefore, I, Gary R. Herbert, Governor of the great state of Utah, do hereby declare June 19th through the 24th of 2017 as Cure Cancer Week in Utah. Thank you, John. Thank you for your leadership. God bless you and God bless this effort. Thank you.
Everyone's calling you John, but I only know you as Mr. Huntsman. Happy birthday, Mr. Huntsman. I appreciate being here, and I appreciate representing the state of Utah and the State House to be here for this important dedication. I want to talk personally, and I know that this is not unique to me, and we've heard a little bit about this from those that have spoken. In my early 20s, my mother was 50, and I received a call that she was diagnosed with cancer. And in that time, and I think every one of us has lived through this, you go from a very normal day to a day with thousands of questions, fear, and really not knowing your way forward. The experience that I lived through with my mother, I would call those angels, the people that we went to see, the way we tried to understand what was happening in those times. And so I think as we all have those experiences in our lives, and those that came and provided care for those that were diagnosed with cancer and suffer through the disease, we have this understanding and this appreciation for what's out there, and we need more of it, and we want more of it. So let me fast forward as a state lawmaker. Politics sometimes is too reactionary. Sometimes we deal with what's right in front of our face, and looking forward and preparing for some of these things sometimes gets interrupted by the immediacy of the service that we render. So it takes sometimes someone to bring a playbook, someone to tell us, here's the play. Here's what we can do to do better than what we're doing today. And I will tell you that Mr. Huntsman, for me, as a policymaker, he has the playbook. And not only did he know long ago and have a vision for what he would do to fight this cancer, to fight this disease that's affected so many of us. And I know we have so many spiritual leaders with us, but I'm going to tell you, I hate cancer. I hate it. It creates a negative emotion in me when I think of it. And I wonder how many of us would, if it's impacted our loved ones, would trade places with those loved ones so that they wouldn't go through some of the things that happen. That disease needs someone tough, needs a vision, but someone that is incredibly tough and determined about that vision to see it come to fruition. And that's not formulaic. You either have it or you don't. And Mr. Huntsman and this family, the Huntsman family, they not only have that vision, but they have a toughness and a strength of will that has not only grown the Huntsman Cancer Institute, but has brought this beautiful building to this dedication today. And so in politics, too much, it's, as I've said, I'm not trying to rip on the whole thing. It's actually a pretty good process we've got going here. It's a good country, good process. But too many times it's adults that fight over adult systems. And that's the case with it. Public education, higher education, roads. We have a common enemy, in my mind, when it comes to cancer. And I think adults fighting over adult systems needs to be long forgotten. And I think we need to look at the example and the vision of Mr. Huntsman and know who it is or what it is that we're fighting together, and to bring all our resources together, all of our talents together to continue the vision and the good work that's happening here. So thanks again, Mr. Huntsman, for your good work. Thank you all for all that everyone has done to contribute to this. I will tell you, the state of Utah, this is a resource and an asset of the state. The House of Representatives, the legislature, the state of Utah will never forget its role and how important this is, and our part as a state in the Huntsman Cancer Institute's success. And you have my commitment, and that commitment will live long after I'm gone, that we make sure that we are doing our bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I noticed that the seating arrangement was having us split up. I wonder if there's any message there. It's a privilege for me to address you today, John and Karen. It just seemed like the other day that we were here with shovel in hand. And on that day of the beginning of the realization of this vision, and now today, what a marvelous building we have here, what a marvelous vision, and the results of this will be significant for our state. So it was mentioned just earlier that the governor, myself, the speaker, we have a strong interest in what happens here. There's a lot of economic benefit to having this great research center here in Utah in their Intermountain West. But all that pales in comparison to the human aspects of this research center, of having this nearby to not only do research to eradicate cancer, but to offer relief, curing, healing to the people around us here in Utah and in the Intermountain West. And we are so fortunate to have this great research center among us. I noticed that there's still some land, vacant land. John says not for long. With that, and may I just also mention that the cancer's been a part of my life. Not personally, but my father passed away in 2003 from pancreatic cancer. He was given weeks to live. And through the efforts of the Huntsman Cancer Center, he lived another year. Pancreatic cancer is tough cancer. But the memories and the histories that we wouldn't have otherwise had as a family. Because of that effort. So thank you very, very much. And there'll be many more stories like that, I believe, in the future. And this great vision and effort. And because it's so important to us, the legislature is going to take up an effort in this next general session to make sure that this vision and passion for cancer will exist for generations to come in our state. So thank you very much.
I'm now pleased to welcome our next two speakers, Intermountain Healthcare Board of Directors Chairman Scott Anderson, who will be followed by Huntsman Cancer Foundation CEO Peter Huntsman. I need to thank Peter for your remarkable engagement. In addition to his CEO role at Huntsman Cancer Foundation, he also is the CEO of Huntsman Corporation, which is a full-time job. And lately he's been involved in a major IPO and a major merger, and still he has found time and passion for Huntsman Cancer Institute's mission. Tireless dedication, clearly following in your dad's footsteps.
Well, cancer became John Huntsman's adversary decades ago when his mother was taken far too soon as a result of breast cancer. But his fight against this enemy took on a laser-like focus, a very personal focus, in 1993 when John and Karen walked out of the hospital following John's own cancer diagnosis. On that day, he looked at this barren hillside and he had a glorious vision. On this spot, they would build an institute with a mission of eradicating cancer. We are going to beat this, John declared, and not just for us. We are going to eliminate this disease from the earth, and we are going to do it right here. But John was not just a visionary, he's a builder, an implementer, a doer. John and Karen gave their first gift of $10 million that year in 1993 to engage in the battle against cancer. And that was followed 2 years later by a $100 million donation. And that has been followed by hundreds of millions more until today. Here we are at the dedication of this remarkable research facility. The Huntsman's vision, the Huntsman's actions have forever changed the landscape of this mountain, as they have forever changed the fight against this dreaded disease. The Huntsmans are selflessly fighting cancer, to beat cancer, and they are doing it on this hillside, and they are winning, both personally and globally. Paraphrasing the words of their son, Governor Huntsman, "From here we'll write the lyrics that others will pursue and read. From here we'll innovate. We will create jobs. This will be a haven for leadership and talent. From around the country they will come, and from here we will find a cure." John Huntsman's life mission has been marked by hard work, thoughtful effort, active intellectual curiosity, and love, constant love for others. Whether that love is expressed by funding shelters for women and children fleeing violence, or creating academic settings where young minds can flourish and prosper in learning about business ethics, or creating a world-class cancer institute, John Huntsman has articulated his love for the human family. Those expressions of love have simultaneously been quiet as a whisper and as loud as thunder. But chief among all those expressions of love has been the Huntsman Cancer Institute and Hospital. In this part of this country, which Wallace Stanger noted represents the geography of hope, the Huntsman family has constructed this phenomenal cancer resource on the Circle of Hope. I'm deeply honored to have this opportunity to express appreciation to John and Karen for their vision and for their clarity of purpose. That purpose to improve cancer outcomes for everyone, whether they live in St. George or Windover or Logan or Salt Lake City. The Huntsman Cancer Institute and Hospital is providing hope and treatment and care and comfort to those who are sick with this disease and those who are afraid because of it. Thanks to the Huntsman family, the bar has been risen. We needed the way lighted, and they lit the torch. We needed a high degree of cooperation from donors, and they provided the leadership. John and Karen gave first, and they gave last. And we all followed, captivated by this glorious vision. Funds flowed from the state, the church, the university, from Intermountain Healthcare, and from thousands of companies and individuals around this nation. The Huntsman's sense of urgency, their sense of mission, have been precisely what this community needed. It is what those with cancer have needed. The Huntsman Cancer Institute has been and will continue to be a model for how research and clinical care should be, integrated, agile, and ever responsive from the laboratory bench to the bedside, and always conducted with a certainty of purpose and clear thinking that extends beyond ourselves, beyond our agenda, respecting the past, but never overlooking the future. In his first speech as Prime Minister of the House of Commons in 1940, Winston Churchill offered these words, which could be just as easily attributed to John Huntsman today as he is waging this battle against cancer. I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. We have before us an ordeal of the most grievous kind. We have before us many, many long months of struggle and of suffering. You ask, what is our policy? I can say it is to wage war with all our might and with all the strength that God has given us. That is our policy. You may ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one word. It is victory. Victory at all costs. Victory, however long and however hard the road may be. John and Karen, the road is long and the road is hard. But thanks to your unqualified vision and supreme generosity, the battle is being successfully waged, and the outcome will be victorious. You have given us pride in our past, but more importantly, as the poet said, you've given us hope in our future. From your hands God works, and from behind your eyes he smiles on the earth. Thank you, John and Karen. May the Lord bless you. Thank you.
President Uchtdorf, in your prayer, you prayed for a miracle, and I'm going to provide the very first one. As I went through my comments here and scratched out what has already been said and what I can't read because my handwriting is so bad, I've got about a 3-minute talk here. So that should make everybody quite happy, I would imagine. This is a humbling and an unenviable position that I'm in. I think I've said this publicly before, but the challenges of being a CEO is nothing in comparison to having to share a stage with one of my heroes in life, my brother John, who's had such an impact on my life, speaking before me, and my parents speaking after me. There's nothing you can say between these speakers that anybody is ever going to remember. So I shall be brief. I would like to just recognize a few people. I was recognized here a few minutes ago by Mary of being the Chief Executive Officer of Huntsman Corporation. And to whatever degree that I am a competent or capable Chief Executive Officer, it is because I've taken that principle that my father taught me at a very young age. It has been a very, very easy principle for me to adhere to, and that is to surround myself with people that are better than I, people who are smarter and more capable than I. And today, for the first time in any of these celebrations, I have the opportunity to have with me all of my senior leadership team of Huntsman Corporation. And Huntsman's Corporation stock is the single largest asset that is in the Huntsman Cancer Foundation and also in the Huntsman Family Foundation. So to any degree that there is not a satisfactory return, or at any degree that my father has committed to give away funds that we are not able to generate fast enough for him, I would just like to point to the individuals who should be held accountable and responsible for this. I would like to ask that my direct reports that are here, along with my brother James, who's been an amazing leader until recently in leaving our company and pursuing some of his own ambitions, I would like to ask that they stand, as well as my brother James, who've been just the real leaders of this company. Would you please do so and be recognized? James has been a magnificent leader, but it really is the first time I've seen him in a tie in almost a year, so I had to make him stand publicly. To my dear and good friend, President Pershing, I want to recognize you and I want to thank you. To Governor Herbert and to Speaker Hughes, President Niederhauser, to Scott Anderson, and to President Nuchtdorf, and to so many others, Mary, who have been so instrumental in this day taking, the events that are taking place this day. I want to recognize you and thank you. I want to recognize as well my siblings. I merely represent the second generation. I do not lead the second generation, and I cannot say enough good about them. To the third generation of Huntsmans who are here, my father has been a very prolific builder of businesses. My parents have been an even more prolific builder of their progeny of DNA, continuing on and on and on. And to that third generation who already has the passion of fundraising, who already has a vision of where they should go. And to those of the fourth generation who are starting to be here, I hope that is their generation that gets to convert this hospital into a Four Seasons and really make it into a resort. But let me just say in conclusion of my comments, we stand here today because of the accomplishments of the past. The real question as we leave here is, what are we going to do with that vacant land the Senate President brought up earlier? Where do we go from here? Do our communications go between lawyers, legalities, and contracts and commitments, leaks and egos? Or do our communications go with hope, with generosity, with vision and building? We stand at a crossroads here. We've got the leaders of this community from a faith base, political base, government base, academia, philanthropy, business. It is up to us. We owe it to our community. We owe it to those millions of brave individuals who are alive today because they have been willing and able to fight this dreaded disease. The battle before us is not going to be easy. It's not going to be won quickly. It's going to take fortitude. It's going to take changing ideas and ideals. And it's going to be just as in the world of business. We've got to be able to jettison that which does not work and focus on that which will be working in the future. To this degree, this institution has the commitment of this family, not only of my generation, but of generations to come. That's not always easy. I learned this when I was 10 years old. We recently moved out from Washington, D.C. to Salt Lake, and my parents were building a home. We were staying up at my grandparents' cabin up in the Weber River, Smith Morehouse area. And I remember walking a mile or two to meet up with my father, who was out fishing. He was standing in a rock, and those of you that are fishermen, fisherwomen, fisher people, fishermen among fishermen, you know that you get a large rock in the middle of a river, and the slow water behind that rock is usually where the fish are, where the water's the slowest. And this was during I think it was during the fishing season, Dad. I hope it was, because you were fishing. My brother was talking about the Huntsmans being involved in the Huntsman Saloon, and hopefully that has something to do with my father's longevity. Also, the Huntsmans, I always thought that 4 packs of unfiltered Lucky Strikes a day might have had, the diversion of that might have had something to do with his longevity as well, of being able to, anyways, we won't get into that side of the Huntsman family. Dad was standing on that rock in the middle of the Weber River. I remember as a 10-year-old thinking of how fast that river was flowing. And I wanted to watch my dad catch a fish. I knew he'd be able to catch it. There was a perfect hole. He'd already explained that to me, where the best places to catch a fish. He'd already waded through the rapids. He'd already waded through the rough waters. He was there ready to catch a fish. He saw me there, put down his pole, walked across the river, picked me up, walked me back across the river, stood me on the rock, put the pole in my hand, and I caught a fish. The pathway to catching that fish is not always easy. This man has accomplished what he has, the support of an amazing partner, spouse in life, because he's been willing to cross the rapids. And when he's been able to find others that would benefit by crossing those rapids with him, it's not always an easy path, and sometimes it can be arduous. Sometimes there can be differences of opinions. But the end result must be able to stand tall. Doesn't matter who gets the credit. Doesn't matter whose name's on the building. What matters is that we are attacking a scourge of society. And so to that end, I'm proud to be able to represent the resources of two separate foundations, and I'm proud to represent the multiple generations that come after my parents, saying that our dedication is complete. Our vision has been fortified, and the assistance of over 1 million donors, the people that really make this whole thing work, the doctors, the clinicians, the physicians, the administrators, the people who give the support from the state, from the charities, from the religions, those people whose hopes and ambitions we thrive on. I thank you, and I'm proud to be able to say, let's make sure that this is the beginning of the end, rather the end of the beginning. There's a rough road ahead of us. I can't think of a better group of people, better pool of resources, and a more talented base than right here to be able to attack that. At this time, it gives me my great pleasure to be able to call on my father and my mother, my friends, my teachers, my mentors, and to just thank them for what they've done for this community, the example that they have given us. And to tell you, Dad and Mom, I love you. And I think I say that for many people that are here. Thank you very much.
As Peter was crossing out his remarks and he got down to 3 minutes, I've been crossing out my remarks in my brain from Abigail Adams' quote all the way down to now, and I am ready to turn the time over to my husband. This is an emotional day, and I wish to express gratitude to my Heavenly Father, the Father of us all, for his love. He loves each one of us. He knows each one of us by name. He helps us walk through difficult times in our life. He buoys us up when life is hard. And I will never forget that day 25 years ago when John drove down the driveway and it was at noon. I had never seen my husband at the noon hour because he just was never home during lunch. And I knew something was wrong. He pulled down the car, drove down. I got in the car, and with tears streaming down his face, he said, "I want you to know that I have cancer." And I will never forget the next word out of his mouth. "Our affairs are in order. You will be okay, and so will the children. But I don't know how many years I will be blessed to live. But I want you to know from this day forward, everything we do will be focused on eradicating cancer." And shortly after that, we drove over and looked at this mountain, and he described what he could see on this mountain. I couldn't see it. You see, in order to see something, you have to believe it so passionately in your heart. He believed it, and he saw it. I soon after could see it, and it has been my privilege to stand by his side with down markets, falling prices of stock, poor health, partners who would leave at the last minute. Everything seemed to work against him. He would try and get up in the morning and walk, and his legs didn't work. But the thing that kept my husband going was this dream of eradicating cancer, of putting buildings together and putting the best person in charge, Mary, and having her team here. I love a slogan from World War II where it said, "We do the difficult things tomorrow. The impossible may take a little longer." My husband has done the impossible, surrounded by good people, but it has been his heart and soul, his belief, his love of the country, that all things are possible. I want him to know how much I love him, how grateful I am to be able to stand by his side in sickness, in health, in joy, in sorrow. It has been a wonderful ride, and it will continue. He's already ready to break ground with a shovel on soon. I want you to know how much I love you, appreciate you. My father used to read me Winnie the Pooh whenever I was sick. I didn't like Winnie the Pooh books. I didn't understand them, but I liked them because my father liked them so much. But I remember one quote, and I've learned to appreciate it as I have gotten older. And it says, "You are not just getting older, you're getting more valuable." I love you. And I know that when you turn 90, we're going to have another one just like today.
Thank you, sweetheart. Well, thank you so much, my beautiful wife. May I start out just briefly and see if one of my friends is here today. Excuse me. Norm Litz. Norm, are you here today? Would you stand up if you are? Thank you, Norm. Norm was part of the Jacobson construction team that built this great facility, and during that particular time, his sweetheart, Donna, passed away from cancer. And we want to express to Norm and all those great people who worked with him our love and appreciation, Norm. Thank you so much.
Are you going to call Andrew here?
Yes.
He is his name.
I feel, my dear friends, very humbled today. I've received far too much credit. The credit belongs to so many of you and the great researchers and above all, the patients and the wonderful people who have fought this disease. And some have won and some have struggled mightily and extended their life. And our job is to eradicate cancer from the face of the earth. Eradicate it forever. Not to play around with it, not to play politics with it, not to play egos with it, but to eradicate it and to eliminate it at all cost. When he took our first ground full of dirt, I was a little bit discouraged, to be frank with you, because some of the folks at the university said, this isn't the proper place to have a cancer institute. We aren't large enough to accommodate what your dreams and ideas are. And I went to President Howard W. Hunter, who was then president of our church, president of the Quorum of the 12. He said, John, don't ever get discouraged. He had suffered from prostate cancer, other diseases, and his sweetheart, Claire, had passed away. He said, "You do what you think is right." And I went to President Hinckley, visited with President Hinckley, and he said, "I've always wondered why our family and history services in the LDS Church was for the dead, because now it's for the living as much as it is for the dead, because of the genetics that you can have, that we've studied all these years, have all these names. You bring that institute to Salt Lake City, and we'll give you all of the names and all of the work that's been done." And today we have 17 million names, the largest in the world, because of the goodness of the LDS Church. And many of the people who are not members of the LDS Church, who've worked in genealogy and have done their family history, and then we can see the names, and we can pretty well predict what your odds are of having cancer early in your life and getting early detection and finding out about your DNA. And we can do that in about an hour now, as Mary said. And so I was grateful for these great leaders, and Elder Ballard, who encouraged me so much, and Ron Rasband, Elder Rasband, who stood at my side before the boys and girls in our family were old enough to do so, all with words of encouragement and support. And I will always be grateful for that, because I never looked back one second, knowing that these wonderful people were behind me, knowing that we had these great donors and these facilities. I visited with Intermountain Healthcare, and they're supposed to be a competitor of sorts. They're the finest hospital organization on earth, and they've been just wonderful. Scott Anderson gave a great message today, and I want to thank Mark Harrison, who's their new CEO, and thank them for their partnership in putting together the world's largest database for cancer patients. The world's largest. MD Anderson and Mayo Clinic and Memorial Sloan Kettering and some of the great centers in the world have been out to visit with me to see if they could share with us these remarkable facilities that are made possible because of you and because of family history and because of genetics. Today we become, as we open this facility, we become the largest genetic cancer center in the world, something that President Hinckley told me would happen. His first dedication, he saw through this. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I've been very touched by the choir today, by the beautiful music they've rendered. And I wanted you to know a little bit about the name, Primary Children. Primary Children and Family Cancer Research Center. That isn't a name that we just came up with yesterday. The Primary Children's Hospital was started in 1911 by the president of the LDS Church Primary. This good sister and her first counselor were able to talk the brethren into having a room for the boys and a room for the girls in 1911 in what was then the first LDS hospital. And after they had this room for boys and girls to take care of their illnesses, in 1922, they built a separate facility. And they named that in 1934 the Primary Children's Hospital. And it was dedicated by President Grant in 1922, and then in 1934 the name was changed. This is a very sacred name in our church and in our land. When I was a young boy, we used to stand up at our meetings and talk about pennies by the inch. Some of you remember that. And that means that for not every inch we grow, but every year the church thought they could get more money if it was every year of our age instead of every inch of our height. So they changed it, and we had to pay a penny for every year. And so I remember when I turned 13, I had to pay 13 cents instead of 12. And we all did that. And all that money went to the Primary Children's Hospital. That was a main hospital for the entire Mountain West. one of the first children's hospitals in America, and it bore this name, Primary Children's Hospital. And in 1974 and 75, the LDS Church decided that it would be better if it was owned by the citizens of Utah, by the community of Utah. And so they gave. They didn't sell, they gave the facility to the people of this state to be managed by Intermountain Healthcare. And Intermountain Healthcare has done a wonderful job as they've taken over the Primary Children's Hospital. And today, we now bear that name. And that name will always be sacred. And it will be protected. And it will never cease to bring good to little children and to those who use these facilities, because it has a rich and wonderful history of people who sacrificed and gave all they had in this state so that little children could be taken care of. And we continue that legacy and that tradition, and we're grateful and humbled by this situation. And so President Nelson, Elder Ballard, and President Uchtdorf, Brother Rasband, and Elder Stevenson, thank you for being here today and for setting the stage for this remarkable facility, for allowing us to utilize this name and to carry on this wonderful tradition. President Uchtdorf, I think we're going to have engraved your dedication remarks in our main lobby, because I've never heard a more beautiful expression of gratitude and thanksgiving than what you've just offered, my dear friend. And today, I can't thank you enough. I saw the executives of our company stand. They come from all different countries of the world, and they've been so gracious and giving. And so many of you out there have given all you've had. I just can't thank you enough. And I'm going to call upon somebody, if I may. I don't mean to embarrass him in any way, but Andrew, are you here today? My young friend, Andrew Van Wagner. I hope you are. Yes, come here, Andrew. Come here a minute. Andrews didn't know he was going to be called on. I know it's warm out there, but I just want to tell you a little story about our donors and why this meeting today should be dedicated to them. Andrew, you can just jump up anywhere. And this is really a tribute to 1 million people and to people like Andrew. Come here, Andrew. Andrew's just going into the 6th grade. I want to tell you, he's one of the great young men on the face of the earth. He's ready to give me today his 4th gift for cancer. Do you have that? $119. $119. I said, Andrew, how do you do it? He said, I go door to door. And I go, everybody I know, the bigger the house, the more I ask for. And, I mean, he's got it all figured out. And Andrew's, his first donation was $80.91. And it's through these wonderful gifts, like Andrew. Andrew, would you like to say anything to this group?
Sure.
Oh, sure, he said.
I'm just grateful that Mr. Huntsman can make this wonderful cancer institute and help save lives. I'm grateful that he put so much effort into it, and I'm just grateful for Mr. Huntsman.
It's children like Andrew and many others who will be patients, who we will watch over and protect and pray over. And our doctors and our researchers will study this disease, because you see, with children's cancer, it's different from adult cancers. Children's cancers have a higher proclivity to give this disease, to pass it on to their brothers and sisters. We know that from our early research. We know that as children who have had cancers go through their teenage years, that it becomes much more difficult for them to deal with many of the challenges of life. We want to understand how to make those challenges easier, how to make them disappear, how to make those children, after they've suffered from cancer, how they can become adults in every sense of the word productive and in good health, and where their children won't receive a defective gene that they may have received on birth, and how we can eradicate the continuation of children's cancer ever existing again on the earth. So Andrew represents those young men and women who will be occupying the halls and walls of this beautiful facility. And I just want to recognize also today that we have over 200 campuses and universities and colleges around America where the students are out raising money for Huntsman Cancer Institute. They're young men and women between the ages of 18 and 21 and 22, and they've pledged $10 million to us. Young men and women of college age. This is the greatest generation in the history of man, to see the goodness of young people, to see that their aspirations and hopes are not in doing things that would be burdensome to mankind, but to see that they're the great hope of tomorrow, that they're out raising money for cancer, that they want to eradicate this disease. And I'm so very proud of them. I'm so grateful to those Sigma Chi members and others throughout America who are helping to resolve this impossible task. And I just want to express again gratitude to this team we have at Huntsman Cancer Institute, the remarkable researchers and the clinicians and the doctors and the nurses and those who park the cars and those who prepare the food. We've always said if we have good food, we'll have strong patients. And so we look after everything, and we're very concerned that we treat them all well. And we're particularly concerned that we have the finest, absolute, most magnificent leader in the world, and Dr. Mary Beckerly. Thank you, Mary, for your gifted leadership and for what you have brought with regard to hope and inspiration to each of us. I want to also thank today, if I might, the wonderful people we have who manage the affairs of our state. Our legislature has been remarkable to us. You realize that $20 million of the $170 million that this facility costs came from the state of Utah. Last year, they gave us $6.4 million to help us with additional charges. And to you, Wayne Niederhauser, and to Greg Hughes, the Speaker of the House, and Governor Herbert, I want to thank you so very much. Even though what you've given in the large scheme of things doesn't represent a great percentage, it does represent the kind of a legislature that listens, that's attentive, that wants to end this disease, that's our partner. And I just have nothing but the highest praise for our members of our legislative body and for our state leadership and for all the things that they've done. There's one last group that I want to recognize today. I don't believe many of you are familiar with our External Advisory Board. We have probably the finest board of directors in America that oversees the Huntsman Cancer Institute. Not many people in the University of Utah know that. I don't think any of our trustees know that. I'm not sure that our Board of Regents understand that we have 10 of the most outstanding people led by the president of Harvard University's Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, who is our chairman, and 9 others representing their Nobel laureates. They represent MD Anderson, the largest cancer center in the world, the Howard Hughes Medical Center, UCLA, the Salk Institute, these great institutes that are curing cancer. And all 10 of them come and meet with us. And because of the high standards they've established, and because of the exceptional requirements that we have to meet to be a nationally recognized cancer care center, they hold our feet to the fire, and they present to us goals that are almost impossible to reach. 99% patient satisfaction, exceptional ratings as far as hospitals and cancer institutes, and there are only 4 or 5 in America who have exceptional ratings of cancer institutes. Because of this board that we work with, and that comes and visits this campus twice a year, and that we work with on the phone, Dr. Beckerly and her team, and I've talked to many of them and worked with them, and they've given us the ideas and the momentum and we come under their direction. And it's a fabulous, probably the finest organization of cancer specialists in the world. And so people wonder, well, how did we get where we are? It's because we've listened to the best. We've met with the best. We've toured their facilities. And our chairman from Harvard told me yesterday, John, you have the finest cancer center in the world in Salt Lake City, Utah, the finest in the world. And this came, of course, from one of the all-time greats. So to that exceptional board, and I hope our trustees will take the time and the effort to get acquainted with them, to understand the high standards that we have to reach, the high goals, and the results of our efforts. If any of you have read the great book by, it's difficult to pronounce his name, Sid Mujri, I want to just quote from it. Cancer was first found in 2500 BC. 2500 BC, that was 4,500 years ago. And they were trying to figure it out. And claws were coming out from people's faces and from their arms and their legs. Growths were coming out. And the early Greeks wrote about it. And when Hippocrates came along in 440 BC, he wrote great theses about cancer. And the way cancer got its name was that's a Greek term for crab, because the claws would come out from your face and your arms and your legs, and they would clutch people. And it would be like a crab taking you in their grips. And so if you ever want to know where cancer had its origin, it was from the Greek word crab. And Hippocrates was the one who is responsible for that in 445 BC. So for 4,500 years, all these centuries, this has been what's referred to as the emperor of all maladies. Think of that, the emperor of all maladies, the worst disease on the history of the earth, the worst disease to ever plague mankind is cancer. And they have been fighting it and trying to make breakthroughs for 4,500 years. And it's only been about the last 55 to 60 years, and Dr. Nelson would know this, but we have made enormous breakthroughs. When my mother died of cancer in the 1960s, we had just developed chemotherapies in the 1950s. That is the infusion of chemicals into the human body. And radiation was only discovered in the 1900s, the early 1900s. And it was after Louis Pasteur and some of the early French biotechnicians and biologists discovered the antibodies that they were ever able to operate on people. So cancer research is a very, very new subject. We have much to learn about it. There are over 200 different types of cancers. And most of the cancers that we have are inherited from people like Peter and Johnny's and James and Paul's and Christina and Kathleen's and Marky's and from their great-grandparents, not their father, even though my father died of prostate cancer. We receive a lot of these predetermined, predestined genes, and we have to figure out how do we eradicate these, and we're figuring that out in our research labs. And when the Vice President of the United States came through the other day, he complimented our people and said that we have made more progress than anybody in America, and we're the finest new cancer institute there is in the entire country. And I just, again, want to thank the donors, those of you who have reached deep in your pocket, the Andrew Van Wagners, the young men and women, those of you, some of you have gone way beyond your ability to contribute to us, but you've done it anyway. And I just am so grateful, again, for the LDS Church and for Intermountain Healthcare and the state of Utah for paying part of this building. And today I just want to, again, thank you deeply. And I would just say this in conclusion, that my hope and my prayer is that our community will always be united. We can never operate without a united community. We'll all be united in trying to end this horrible disease. We'll be united in our efforts to eradicate cancer at its earliest stages. We'll work together as a combined team, and that we will be able to end this disease once and for all. And in this spirit and in this cause, and as a birthday gift from me to you, our family and the Huntsman Cancer Foundation hereby donates another $120 million to this cause. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to invite our patients, Sherry, Emma, and Michael, to cut the ribbon. She does. Emma, Karen just mentioned that she noticed your red shoes. Thank you for wearing those.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I just want to say that I am standing before you today because I received treatment for stage 3 breast cancer here at the Huntsman Cancer Hospital. So my love and admiration for what the Huntsman family does in our community, is greatly appreciated. I'd just like to say that this is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice in it. We are grateful that we have received a gift from Mr. John M. Huntsman on his birthday, and it is traditional that when someone celebrates a birthday, family and friends gather to sing happy birthday. To sing happy birthday. And so what better way than to have the Mormon Tabernacle Choir
And grandfather, on behalf of, I'm the oldest of that third generation of 56 grandchildren. If you all could come up here, we have a little surprise for you. Hopefully they don't catch their hair on fire over here, but we are so humbled and honored to be your grandchildren, and you have taught us so much in life and given us everything. We love you so much, and we wish you the very happiest of birthdays, grandfather.
And the choir is going to have us join along for a birthday song to Mr. John Huntsman, Sr.
Thank you so much, everyone. As you can see, Huntsman Cancer Institute is a family affair, and you are all part of our large Huntsman family. Thank you all so much for being here to celebrate with us this wonderful new expansion and the acceleration of our progress toward eradicating cancer from the face of the earth. We're going to hear one final inspirational piece from the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, and then Bishop Solis will provide a benediction. And after that, I invite you all inside to air conditioning and cool liquid refreshments. Thanks so much for joining us. And a tour.
Eyes have seen the Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Catholic community, on the behalf of the state of Utah, which I humbly represent, we thank you for the privilege to be a part of this wonderful celebration of a milestone, not only to benefit the state of Utah, but our global community. We are gratified by the collective endeavors of everybody in order to have a remarkable Cancer Institute. We give thanks with you to our loving God for these tremendous blessings. May I ask you now to please stand and join me in invoking the blessings of God as we begin this celebration with the invocation of His presence among us. We once again invoke His boundless mercy and compassion to continue to bless us and to guide us in all our endeavor. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, we have gathered today for the dedication of this outstanding Cancer Research Center at the esteemed Huntsman Cancer Institute. We have listened to the timely remarks reflecting the significance of the undertaking for the defeat and eradication of cancer and for the good of our global community. You have blessed this endeavor with the support and enthusiasm of so many, which is so heartwarming. We invoke your faithful love to pour out your blessing on the Primary Children's and Families Cancer Research Institute. Sustain its noble commitment to such challenging mission and guide those who engage in research with your holy wisdom. May they be inspired and strengthened by your grace. Our hearts are filled with gratitude for this special gift and for the hope it offers those who suffer from cancer illnesses. We are grateful, loving Father, for the vision and goodness of the benefactors, the works who are providing support for this research initiative, and the tremendous efforts and labors of the scientists. Bless them abundantly for their generosity and for their commitment to the cure of a disease that afflicts so many in our world. Watch over all of us, our families and friends. In a special way, may I add, bless Mr. John Huntsman as he celebrates his birthday today. Keep him strong and healthy so he and his family may sustain this endeavor that serves the welfare of so many in need. Keep us safe and fill us with compassion and tender love for the many who suffer afflictions. Lord, we ask you that you bless our country, bless our state, and bring peace to our suffering world. So we pray in your name, you who are the Lord of all, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you very much, everyone. This concludes our program. Please join us inside for tours, air conditioning, and cold drinks.